Live now?
Oh, well, we're live in the studio, but it's not live on the radio station just yet.
When you say the studio, that's
95.3 on
so
Mayhem.
They can hear us.
Yes, honey.
You be quick.
Yes, they can. Well, you know, Doc, he don't look that, I think. Okay, oh, that look good. Okay. All right. If you are tuned in and you see us on the live at the Hallelujah stream, go ahead and tag and share. We are live at Midtown and 3rd. Can you hear me, Doc?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. We are live online, so it should be coming through the feed right now. And it looks great. Looks like we live here. Okay. This is great. I just want to make sure you can hear us at the studio.
I see you now. Look good.
Okay, look good? Okay. Now I can't hear the theme music, so you're gonna have to give me a go. Okay.
Hold on.
If you're listening to the live broadcast today, you will see here online as well as over the phone, over the radio waves, that this is not Greg James. This is Christy Henry, his co-host. He is out doing the good work in Jacksonville at a conference geared toward reentry. So we wish them great spirit and great work in that space this week. For all of you that are tuned in today, all the way through to Georgia, all the way down to Live Oak, we thank y'all for tuning in. We hope today's show would be inspirational as well as give some great context on where movements move forward economically, particularly within Black and Brown communities and legacy communities. So we hope this show would be a great one for you to listen in and watch. If you're looking online, if you're listening on the radio, please go call a friend. Tell them to tune in today. Today is about legacy, commerce, and community. And we're so glad to have the guests that we have on today. We'll bring them in shortly. If you're staying tuned in, this is April. It's Fair Housing Month. It's also Financial Literacy Month. So there'll be a number of events that are happening throughout the community. Today, the city of Tallahassee held its Fair Housing Forum at the, Lord have mercy, the Delta Kappa Omega Providence Neighborhood Center down in Southside. Hope that all went well. Great information. Shout out to the Human Relations Council, Dante Bonner, Nicole Everett with Conversations with Nicole, and all of the great partners that put that event on today. Also, we want to make sure that you are staying aware of all the events that are occurring in fair housing. I'm sure if you look online and tune in and you tap in hashtag fair housing, you'll be able to get a good pull of all of the information that are available. If you are following housing in the Tallahassee, North Florida region, then you know that it's becoming more unaffordable. It's becoming more inaccessible. So workshops such as these are critical to understanding how we make the difference between families having housing and affordable housing within our community. So shout out and thanks to the city of Tallahassee and Leon County for your expo that you have coming up, and all of the great partners in our community that care about families and care about housing. Again, I encourage you now, go ahead and tag and share. This is going to be a great show today. I believe it's going to be a great show because when I was growing up in Polk County, Florida, the flea market was a place to be. In fact, some of my earliest memories of going to a flea market in town, and give me some love if you've been to a flea market or you remember the flea market. I've been to several, the one in Polk County over near going towards Plant City. The people used to make fresh cookies with the strawberry filling in the middle, and you could get it for like $1 a bag. And we would always be like, Daddy, we want to go to the flea market so we can get them cookies. You would get your necklaces from there. You would buy your shoes that you couldn't find in the store from there. You would get your fresh pressed knock-off designer t-shirts and clothes from there. The flea market was the place to be. It was really a great collaboration and collision of culture, of identity within the context of community, particularly Black and Brown community. So I am so grateful to be able to meet with the founders of a local movement to preserve our local flea market legacy here in the Capital Region. Of course, we're live. If you're looking at the background, we are not at Hallelujah 95.3 FM. We are in Midtown. We are at Midtown, specifically Midtown and 3rd, restaurant owned by proprietor Eric McKinnon. Shouts out to him as our guest. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
He also serves not just as our host, but he's also the vice president of the group that we will talk about today, Tallahassee Flea Market Exchange LLC, which is a group bringing the flea market movement that has diminished in Southside back to the community through a vehicle here that we'll hear about shortly. We also have here Mr. Eugene Larry, who is also a business advocate, a professional here in the community, and the president of the Tallahassee Flea Market Exchange is also the site coordinator. So if you're listening today, you're a micro entrepreneur, you're a wannabe entrepreneur, you're a vendor looking for other venues for a connection and exchange and potential revenue, check out the information today, and we'll learn more about it here shortly. So we thank y'all for joining us today. Talk a little bit about, so the flea market was here like in the early mid 1900s, right? It's old established community venture. A family just decided to open up their space, put a lid on it, put a roof on it, and bring vendors together from the community to sell goods. Sometimes they didn't come from the community. Sometimes they came from afar. So it's almost like a vendor fair type concept, right? Talk to us a little bit about what happened to diminish that movement, particularly in Southside, because it's known to be in the Southside. We've had several flea markets in the Southside. We had the long-standing one that is recently demised, and then we had one that was indoor, that was over off of Monroe Street. Can you give kind of the context of why it is necessary to maintain a flea market within the context of community?
Okay, Eric.
Well, we really believe that it's necessary to maintain because it brings families together. Mm-hmm. At a time when we are now with, as we say, modern technology, gadgets, kids are not being, at the dinner table, we're just busy. Things will go on. So with the flea market, it allows the opportunity that we come out as families. A lot of times we go do run around on Saturday mornings, and then we go to the flea market. We go to church, we go to the flea market. It's a time that kids can go with their parents, and they can get to experience different things. They get to see different people doing entrepreneurship. They get to see people creativity, because a lot about vendors that are there. Some of those things. Most of those things they're either making themselves. A lot of times we go to the flea market looking for antique type things that we personally enjoy. So this is a place that allows families to come together, go out and find those little unique items that are personal to them. Mm-hmm. And so, it's very important in a time when there's so much going on that we find a way to continue to bring families together, continue to bring communities together, continue to share the things that, are core base on family. We really believe, as the men that we are and the background that we have, that is very important for our young people today, as well as our adults. It's a communication connection problem.
Amen.
And to add on to what Eric is saying, the other aspect of that is not just with community building, community involvement and action, but it also provides small businesses an opportunity to build. Mm-hmm. You may not have enough money to go into a brick and mortar building.
Right.
With the flea market, it provides those smaller entrepreneurs who are trying to come up an avenue and a way to put their products out
Mhm.
to the public without having so much overhead and expenses. Also provides these smaller businesses an opportunity to test their products to see how it's engaging and at a fair price too as well. So that is another aspect that I think, we think rather, that goes along with the community and the importance of maintaining and keeping the flea market here for the local community in Tallahassee and even in surrounding areas.
I think it's important to restate, and I know we're sitting in an establishment, we're sitting in a business that was in Southside primarily. Now it's transitioned to Midtown. There's a lot of investment that is happening, particularly along this corridor, to bring about a revival, if you will, with the decline of malls and larger spaces of commerce. It's caused a little bit of problem for the ancillary businesses that are attached to that type of traffic that will come, right? So you have the big mall that is there, and then you have the people in the mall. You might have a food court, but people will also be looking outside the mall. It's a major regional economic driver when you have an active and viable mall. However, with the decline of the Tallahassee Mall and some of the things that have happened as a result of this, and I think it's wonderfully placed. Talk a little bit about the place of it, right? Because again, it's different than where it has historically been. It's not a farmer's market per se, it's a flea market. Is there a difference, and what's the goal? Besides as you have stated, being able to just have that visual of entrepreneurship for children and for generations, what's the goal for the business owner, for the vendor that would be in this area, in this space at this time?
Well, as business owners in the community, Eugene and I, we consistently talk about things, where we come from and where we're headed.
Yes.
And we liked the fact that we found this location on the north side of town because Tallahassee is a growing city. And don't get me wrong, if people know me, I started Leola's Craft Shack. We did all this on the south side. I grew up on the south side. I went to Rickers and Bond and Pineview, but there's so much more to the city than the south side. As we have people migrating into the city, they're not just going to the south side. So I think we think it's important for us to make our mark and to make our move more than just the south side. We have to grow past that, we can still contribute back. We still can offer opportunities, but we're positioning ourselves now to be able to help the south side because honestly, a lot of the businesses on the south side, they start out struggling. They start out, I have people that I meet all the time that say, I've never been to the south side of town. Well, me being here, I get to connect with them. I get to talk to them. I get to tell them where I started business at.
Yes.
And I get to inform them about the south side and how it is growing. But if I was just stuck on the south side, just doing business on the south side and creating things on the south side, then I wouldn't be able to intertwine and intermix with other people that are coming to the city. It is such a small part of the city when we say the south side. But when we say the black and brown community, we're all over. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to limit ourselves to one side of town. We need to be growing all over. We need to be making our presence all over the city, all that's over right. The community, And so that's what our ultimate goal is to start us growing all over the city, not just the south side, not forgetting about the south side. It is a key part and very important. But we want to definitely start making our mark out past just the south side.
Mm.
Right. And I would like to maybe bring up a point. This provides us an opportunity for clarity. Because if you look on social media, you'll see a lot of criticism of why we're not on the south side, things of that nature. The first thing I would like to highlight and bring to everyone's attention who's listening is that when you get into looking for an area to put this type of business in, like Eric said, Tallahassee expanding. And with that expansion, there comes changing in zoning laws. We found several places that would be great for the south side to have a flea market. But when we get into the city or the county or whoever we're dealing with, the zoning comes into place. There's a lot of zoning laws and a lot of laws and rules, regulations that would not allow us to have these ideal places. So that's going to be an issue that everyone needs to consider. Secondly,
that's a good point.
Right. Secondly, I think with Eric and I would like to say our mindset, we're conquerors.
Yes.
You know, we don't limit ourselves to be set in a box.
Okay.
If an opportunity is on the south side, west side, north side, east side, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You understand? If the opportunity presents itself, we're going to take advantage of that.
That's right.
You can't keep, our spirit of entrepreneurship. You can't box us into one location.
Yes.
It doesn't work for men like him and I.
Mhm.
You know, so I think that is also a consideration. The laws, and we, the head of this thing, are sitting at the head of this thing, man. We're going to take an opportunity wherever it presents itself. You know, in all honesty, I think, in fairness, if the flea market has been on the south side for 41 years, why not open it on the north side for 41 years? And after that, let's go on the south or the east side or the west side for 41 years.
Mm.
Let's be fair. You know, that's just my opinion and looking at the matter. Any opportunity presents itself to where we can, come in and make our mark, we're going to take it.
I think that it's a very important point that you make in terms of, because in essence, the South Side as a community has served as an incubator for a lot of ideas, for a lot of concepts, particularly within Black and Brown communities. So this is an expansion upon a concept that was resident for a while within that area.
Correct.
And the other piece of it is I think it also lends to the conversation about demographic diversity, right? How do we reach everybody with our product and service instead of just serving one particular demographic or one particular cultural identity with what we provide? Because we know that the ability to scale and grow as a business is only as powerful as your ability to connect with various marketplaces. So with that being in mind, traffic counts on Tennessee Street are ridiculous. I mean, in the tens of thousands per day. You have a traffic count of over 20,000 just going to and fro. And then there's the I-10 corridor access right there. So really you have, in essence, by placing it here, you've created almost instantaneously a potential for an identity as a regional marketplace.
Right.
Can you speak to that? And can you speak to, everybody's the sexy word in the marketplace now is regionalized, right? You got to be able to touch all aspects. You got to be able to, and for this flea market, you have three folks, right? You have your vendors, you have your buyers or your purchasers or your family, and then you have just your community as a whole, right? You have three different looks at this. What is the long-term vision for the growth? Because right now you have about 70 sites, 70 space for 70 folks. When do you say, okay, it's time to get more than 5 acres?
Wow. She said a lot, and I'm trying to process some of the things she said. With regards, I don't know. I'll put it like this: based on our first first couple of days that we had out there, the north side of town, everybody who came out from that side of town welcomed us. It was like, oh God, thank you, and all of we're so glad you're here. So the north side of town welcomed us, and that was like, whoa, everybody that came out there, I live this area, we're so glad, so that was a good thing. As far as the 70 places and the expansion, and I wanted to take this opportunity to be very clear on what is transpiring and going on currently with that space. We're utilizing that parking lot. It was a part of the acreage that we have plans to expand and build out. All right. And when Eric and I saw that, automatically it clicked in our heads, and we was like, you know what, if this is going to be a part of it, why don't we start to have activities utilizing the parking lot as a temporary site to get the spirit and get the motivation and to announce, hey guys, to the community and Tallahassee surrounding areas, that we worked hard and diligently in a hard fight to get this thing. And when I say hard, oh man, that's an understatement. So when we saw that, automatically it just clicked in our heads, and when we just say, hey, let's utilize this space to get the momentum going. So that space is just temporary until we build out the remaining acreage, and the design plans for that And only him and I and a few other people have seen that design plan, but we're excited about it. You know, we're gonna offer so many activities, opportunity for activities that we just can't come out and say, okay, this is gonna be it. And then when we get, you know, down the line, something changes,
Right.
you know, and then we was like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. We wasn't able to do what we said
Gotcha.
was gonna do.
Gotcha.
So we want to be reserved on, you know, what the actual site plan, the design look like.
Mhm.
So that's what I have
house
to
a
say.
lot more business. What the number was so far?
Man, we're close to what, about 200?
About 200.
About 200 and something.
So wait a
or
minute, wait a
more.
minute. Y'all have right now
No, now we have 70
70 spots right now.
where
Okay.
we're at now in the parking lot.
Okay.
But adjacent to this parking lot is where we will be doing a 5-acre build out.
Right.
And on that 5-acre, we have a site plan that has already been done by engineers that we will have around 200 plus vendor spots.
Right.
Wow.
And it's also gonna, like I said, be able, it provide us the luxury to reach out into the community and to offer more activities other than just having a flea market.
Mhm.
The old flea market did not reach back into our communities. Hypothetically, you know, and we come from the same. We host a car show.
Right. Right.
We can host the rodeos, the
Circus,
out now, whatever
different
you
type of
have.
things.
Right, things of that nature. And this is something the old flea market didn't do. So having again that entrepreneurial spirit that Eric and I share so closely with, and recognizes that we want to be able to expand and offer more than this flea market. We want to do other things as well, and that would give us an opportunity to do that.
So this is exciting, right? Because what it really is a incubator on steroids, right? It's almost like, I mean,
Correct.
that's really what it is. It's really kind of like if you're in a mall place, it's an outdoor expo mall, right? And I've seen the indoor ones down in Miami, even some of the outdoor ones in places like St. Lucia, where they have huge flea and farmer markets, right? And they're made almost like outdoor malls, and they have space for exhibition or expo for vendors to come in, for musicians to come in to do many concerts, for different things. This is really exciting, y'all, because I don't know that this is a concept that we have seen here in North Florida. And somebody online, if you're looking, hey y'all, we see y'all on here. If you have seen this, please chime in and give some examples. But this is pretty exciting because you're bringing this to an area, to a corridor that has all of the connectivities necessary to sustain this type of space. And you are only in a parking lot with 70, and you're looking to expand to 200 plus spaces. Question. So in some of the spaces I've seen, they have small, medium, and tricked out, right? Will those be options for people who are looking to get space? Because you have some folks, they like this is where they at. They ain't trying to be in no store, they're not trying to be in the mall. They like a flea market. Is it going to be looked at in terms of temporary, or do you have your plan for your long-term kind of anchor tenants?
We definitely have plans for long term. We have where you will have your pop-up tents, you will have where people kind of load in and load out every day.
Okay.
And we're definitely putting in area where people that literally almost want to operate a business.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get this site plan and we get it all developed and everything, we'll be getting permanent permits to operate. At that point, we'll be able to operate. Not saying we will, but we will be able to operate 7 days a week. So we'll be able to increase our operating hours. So that how many days we operate could possibly be based on how many permanent vendors we get and what what they're requiring and asking and demanding from us.
Right.
So we're setting that up and you don't have to go into the heavy brick and mortars and things like that, but you still would be able to operate your business at this site 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, if it gets to that point.
And they won't have to wait for you to open it up. They can just go set up and my wheels are turning, y'all. If y'all can see the steam coming out of my ears. So this is a mall. This is an outdoor expo flea market mall where small vendors who are startups can go and they can establish business space. Can they establish address? Is this somewhere they can get mail sent to? Okay, talk a little bit about that.
Well, like I said, we're looking at permanent structures.
Okay.
So that says it all. Everything won't just be tents and pop-up tents. We're designing to actually have permanent structures built out to where they can actually have a door, a key, and lock their stuff up in a small structure. With those, we can, if the demand for it, we've already talked that we can add. You know how you have the addresses and you might have A, B, C. So our main address might be that, but this might be that plus, A behind it or something like that. So yes, there is room if it presents itself for us to be able to add addresses to where they can get mail. They can permanently have their own spot with a key that they lock and unlock. Right now, we are controlling the flow, and the start of it, we will control the flow, but we're open to a lot of things as it proposes itself and opens up the opportunity for it.
Right. And one of the things, again, as Eric speak, it provides me with opportunity to address issues and concerns that the community has been having. And I would like to say to the community is that you got to be patient with us. You got to be understanding that this process of being permanent requires a lot. There's a lot of regulations that come in. There's a lot of rules that come in, a whole lot of intricate details with regards to the permitting of all of this stuff. And that's just you just can't walk into a piece of land and put this because it's in your head. So all of the things with regards to permitting and all of this stuff, it just takes time. Bear with us, be patient. And it could be encouraging, with the process and what we're going through. But overall, I think it's going to be something that everybody can benefit from, regardless of class, creed, or color, nationality. We, especially the young entrepreneurs out there who are looking for something permanent, like Eric was saying, by having their own structure, their own key, and that's affordable. So just be patient with us and let us go through the process.
I think it's important for the audience, if you're listening. I see y'all. How y'all doing? This is great. It is great. And go ahead and put down that it's great. It is absolutely awesome. I think I need to put a little backstory out there too. This is a startup, and this idea formed from a group of folks that said, "Hey, we need to save a flea market." Can you talk about that? Because this is really a grassroots movement. Like it's not. It ain't funded by nobody but y'all at this point. Can we have a conversation about that process, and so people can understand truly why you're saying, look, we're a startup, but we have great plans to be impactful to the entire community once we get where we're planning to go.
Right. Well, I got to be just straight out honest. This is very expensive. This isn't, you just ain't gonna walk in because you got $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and even if $100,000, you ain't gonna. I don't see how you're gonna do it. So it's very expensive. And like you said, this myself, Eric, and a couple of other investors, we all pulled our resources, our skills, and our monies together that would get us into the door to be able to fund this type of operation. So with that being said, again, the process is really stringent and tedious sometimes. Sometimes it's frustrating. We are a startup and we are very open to what the community thinks, how they feel, how vendors feel, things of that nature. That's one of the core things Eric has always shared with me. He said, brother, we're going to listen to the people. We're going to take advice from the people. And we're going to move to try to accommodate the ideas and, the things that the people bring to us. And in doing that too, again, it requires patience and it just requires just more so understanding. Because once again, it's not cheap. You got to have some money to do this type of thing.
Yeah. So I guess he's being a little modest because he was a vendor out there. He was a vendor at the time that it closed. And when he called me and we talked about it, he was like, man.
Let me put a pin in it right there. I want to make sure that is understood what you just said. He was at the previous flea market, and when you went there, you just saw that it was closed. Talk about
No.
how did that happen?
I do want to come back to his point,
Okay.
but
And come back to that's where I want, but I really want people to make
Right.
the connection,
And it's
like
good.
on a people level.
Right, it's good. Well, I own a barbershop, which is Intrigue Barbershop. I also am the co-owner of Chubby's Restaurant as well. And I decided to open up a jewelry store, right? Golden Circle Designs in the same location that I had the barbershop and Chubby's. So when I opened this jewelry store, I wasn't getting as much participation, viewership, no matter how much marketing I did. I guess it just wasn't in a great location
Right.
for that particular business.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So, I needed more exposure. So I was like, okay, maybe let me take some of my items out to the flea market. So when I went out to the flea market the very first day, I made more money out there that one day than I made for a whole week in my brick and mortar. So I was like, hey, you know what? I think I'm doing the wrong thing. I got my overhead and my lights. I got the rent. I got the internet. I got all of these bills, and it's fairly reasonable out to the flea market, and I'm making more money. So it clicked. Hey, you know what? I'm going to start taking my stuff out to the flea market. And, I started doing well out there. And then all of a sudden, after about maybe a couple of months or whatever, man, they just showed up and handed everybody, a little flyer saying we're closing down. I mean, it was just out of the blue. And it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, later that they ended up closing down. So now I'm like, oh man, I can't even make no more money now. I was doing pretty good, and I got all this inventory. This is imperative. So I feel the small entrepreneur, who may not have money to afford their brick and mortar, but can afford their prices at the flea market. And so understanding that, being a part of that, seeing that, I felt compelled that we got to do something for our younger brothers and sisters out there who may be going through the same thing I went through, So that was kind of behind how I ended up at the flea market.
And when he shared that with me, that same story, that's what made me be like, you know what? Let's make this happen.
Woo!
And so
That's powerful.
Because he literally got to feel what it was like to start making money and then have that snatch their money.
Right.
And so then you think about all the vendors that was out there from all ages, from all colors to all walks of life, they just were shut down. And so when he sat down and shared that story and we talked, I said, man, I'm on board. Whatever you need to do, let's make it happen. And so we have been on the business for now, about a year to get to this point.
Yeah.
And it's been a process, but we were determined because we are entrepreneurs. And to be here in Midtown, and to know where I started from, to know how I started, in a little small gas station on Fridays, I needed that opportunity. And if someone hadn't, just stayed with me, stayed supporting me, stayed behind me, I could have still been there. But determination, not giving up, and hard work has me here today. And it will have the flea market where we're trying to take that as well.
So I'm looking at all these small business owners. Yeah, Hey, Daryl Jones, we are having a conversation about small business incubation here. That's what we're doing. I listened to this, and all I hear is two things. First of all, incubation, because that's you will have your businesses like you who this is your venue. This fits my product market basis fits. This fits what I'm trying to do until it grows and expands to a point where this doesn't suffice. This is where I'm at. But you also have your businesses that are saying, I'm just trying to get to the public. I'm just trying to get my product to my fish sandwich, my little trinket, my doodad, my blouses. I'm just trying to get the market. Talk a little bit about business development, because obviously venue, right? You're checking that box. But in order for it to be stabilized, there has to be a method whereby you are able to say they started here, and because of what we have invested in and the systems that we have made available to them, they've gone from here to here. Talk a little bit about business development and what your vision is. It ain't got to be in place right now, right? Because I know you're ramping up your building, but talk about that and talk about maybe some of the missing pieces, resource-wise, that may need to come to the table to be able to to do
Well,
that.
one thing, when I sit back and I think about a flea market and I think about some of the obstacles as well as some of the blessings that have been in my life coming from a very small entrepreneur and growing, is just not knowing. And some of us, we don't have the money or we don't have the resources, and it's just not in us to say we're going to go to school. And even after you go to school, visual and seeing things actually happen
Right.
can make a difference in propelling you forward. In a flea market environment, the guy next to you might be selling t-shirts too. What am I can learn from him? What can I do to elevate how's my presentation? How's my customer service?
Right.
So you begin to develop the characteristics that it takes to be a successful business person. You get to see it, you get to watch it, you get to experience it, you get feedback, whether that feedback is good or negative.
Right.
And one thing about a flea market, it was here at the old flea market, and it definitely will happen at the new one, is family.
Yeah.
That's right.
People are there to help. One thing that I wasn't able to be there Saturday, but the first thing Eugene came and said, man, everybody helped everybody. Everybody talked to everybody. Everybody was happy that it was happening, and they were willing to offer to each other, no matter what you were selling or what you was doing, the help they needed to set up, to break down, to organize. They were all at each other's tents working together. It created unity in family and business. We all growing together.
Yes.
And so to have a spot where that can happen, that's the ultimate vision for us. We had the president, somebody from Kaiser College come out.
Oh, nice.
Wanting a partnership with us. We had different people wanting to come out. And that's something that we didn't see a lot of at the old flea market, that we are reaching out to. We're thankful to the ones that are reaching out to us, and we're going to do even more to bring in partnerships to help propel some of these businesses into greater businesses, to propel some of the people, even if you stay doing what you're doing, you want to be great at it. You want to be a professional at it. And we want to bring in things that will help them learn, help them grow, and help them see how to be the greatest entrepreneurs that they can possibly be.
That's right. Just two quick things. The first thing, in the kind of veggie back off of what Eric said, that family, that unit, that was one of the first things on the very first day that I kind of called all the vendors together, and then, I told them, I said, hey, this is the idea, is that we're a family unit, we're a family structure. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be someplace where we all, if you need help, I help you. You need advice, I share with you contacts, whatever it is. We want this to be a family thing. We don't want vendors, if Eric need help and I can help Eric, I want you to develop that spirit to go and help Eric, and Eric to develop that spirit to come and help me. So that was one of the first things we did, to let everybody know this is the mindset moving forward, is that we are a team. We are a family. Speaking along with that, and to answer your question with regards to the business, we all know somebody who started at the flea market. Now they end up, in a brick and mortar, or now their name is big. We all know somebody who have been encouraged. Somebody may have a skill, gift, or talent, and everybody's encouraging, why don't you move out further? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? That flea market environment will provide some of them the opportunity to take that leap at an affordable cost. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, but I've seen a lot of people, know a few people, not going to mention any names, that started off at the flea market and now they're doing great. Their name is all over town. Oh, I remember when he was at the flea market, he got him a spot over here, blah, blah, back and forth. And the last point, and I know I said too, the last point is that, when we speak about that family structure, we, like Eric mentioned, we have the president of Housing University. They came out and she was all in. She gave us a card and they look, whatever you need. Mr. Tom Flanagan, I don't know if you know Mr. Tom Flanagan. And I've heard of Mr. Tom, never met him. He walked straight up to me, and he's a very nice guy, know. And he threw just automatically right then. He just dumped it on me and was like, hey, this is who I am, so forth and so on. Here's my number. Hey, whatever you need, let us know, and that's the type of thing that Eric and I and the other investors are looking for, that family structure, that willingness to help each other grow, So it's very important. It's very important.
So, I don't mean to say this and y'all don't be messy out there. I'm just going to say this the way I'm thinking about it. usually with efforts like this, they are consensus driven but carried out through government.
Right.
This ain't that.
Right.
This
Right.
ain't that at all. It is 100% citizen invested, citizen driven. However, if there's resources based upon government priorities that are available for this, and I know this area is within what they call the Midtown Action Plan or the Midtown Sector Plan. It would be interesting to see how a concept like this, as it takes root, actually can find some grounding and some additional resource without control. Right, and I want to say that very importantly, maintaining the citizen grassroots control of the moving forward. It would be interesting to see that. It also would be interesting to see how these businesses, and I'm just going to assume that they're not all the same business, because sometimes when you're not competing against each other selling the same project, you can be more collegial.
Correct.
You talk a little bit about kind of the planning of that, the intentionality of diverse businesses represented, because as the traction grows, you might have 4 or 5 chicken tender people that want to come. You might have 4 or 5, t-shirt folks that want to come that sell. I saw a lot of the same product being sold at some of the flea markets I've been to. Talk about that vendor diversity and where are they coming from? Are they just learning about the flea market? Were they past flea market vendors at other places and now they found a home here? Talk a little bit about who's going to live at the Tallahassee Flea Market Exchange.
Well, my mind, if you don't mind me saying this, I would like for Eric to handle that. But again, every time you talk, you give me an opportunity. I'm a little forceful. Eric always tell me to calm down.
No, I love it. Please.
So, and I want to be
Come
messy.
through.
I really want to be messy. You understand? I'm going to be messy right now. And Eric answered that with regards to your first statement with in lieu of in the monies, how can I put this to be diplomatic about it? The help. We are coming straight out of our pockets. I saw a Facebook post out there of some brother gets on Facebook and he says, "Oh, well, if I was the Kansas City commissioner, if I was this and I was that, I would have kept the flea market on the size. I would have did it. I would have did that." And he just go on this rant, right? And I'm speaking towards this looking for help and maybe some programs out there to see how that'll work, being that there's initiatives running around. And I want to say to the public, we did our due diligence with regards to reaching out to commissioners, cities officials, so forth and so on. Nobody responded to us. Nobody came and said, "Hey, we want to see you. Here's an initiative over here. Here's something that might help you guys. Here's this, here's that." Nobody did that. Nobody reached out to us. We reached out to them. We went up and down the line calling people. Nobody returned our call, right? So with regards to what I feel, and we all have our own feelings behind this thing. If there is something out there, hey, y'all see what we're doing? Why don't y'all give us a call? Our number is out there, So we have to fund this whole thing by ourselves, coming out of our pocket, our time, our energy. We spent a lot of money trying to do or put the flea market in other places. We lost. Nobody comes in and say, "Hey, we want to help you," But if there's something out there, we will entertain that. No question about it. But as once again, I just felt compelled to say that we're not. I'm gonna be messy. We're not dumb people. We have a team of people who know how this thing works, and we pulled that together. So be careful how you criticize us. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got no skin in the game, keep your mouth closed. Put your money where your mouth is. Come and support us. Don't get on this internet running your mouth, bro, sister. And you don't know nothing about what we're going through. But once again, and I'm a pastor here, I had to be messy because people are criticizing us about where we should be, what we should do, how we should do that, and you ain't supporting a damn thing.
Well,
So, anyway, go ahead, Eric.
I think it's important as Eric comes to have this conversation because this stuff it's emotional, right?
It is.
When you put your resources on the table because you see a need in the marketplace, and you're saying I believe in it because I've been the beneficiary of it, and you put it on the line. That's emotional. Your money is emotional. The stuff that you work for is emotional. I wanted to make sure I brought that up because you are serving also a public purpose, right? There is, I don't know if anybody knows this, but real estate is kind of unaffordable, right? Commercial and residential, right? And so, and it's as things, if things don't settle down on the public policy front, we're going to have to exercise local control, and determination over our economic capability. And so these type of efforts where folks are saying, hey, we're going to put our money on the line. We're going to and people all around this community do that every day. Right. I just think that the expectations have been set in terms of what it is that you are trying to accomplish here. You have done the homework. You have made the reach out. You have done the reach outs. You've communicated the plan to the extent it needs to be communicated. But I think right now, what I'm trying to set forth is that you're serving also a public purpose because you're taking something that declined, you're reinvigorating it with intentionality, right?
That's right.
And it is going to serve as a dynamic place where people can come and not only vend, but they can also count on the systems running the facility to attract draw that even further amplifies their ability to make profit off of the space they occupy. So I know there's many people, and we have many experts in this community, and it's a big conversation that it took all a year to get on top of, and it's gonna take other people some time to watch and see and say. But right now, what do your vendors need to be successful? What do they need in your space? Do they need business development? That we have a plethora of organizations that provide business development. Do they need marketing and exposure? What do you all need in terms of marketing and exposure trajectory for that? Because that's a huge part of your regional draw is being able to let people know in Gretna, in Greenville, in all these places that we're here and we're drawing audience for you to be able to be profitable. What do you need? And how can the public serve that need? And have you even thought about it?
We have thought about
it.
As we move forward, we have determined in ourselves that it's just us. It's us against a world. I brought my kids up saying it's us against the world.
That's right.
We think on a grand scale. We think on a big scale. We think, we talked about right there by where the motel is, there's billboards. We see Flea Market Exchange on that billboard. But in our mindset, we work ourselves for what we can afford. And as we make money, as we grow forward, we take care of ourselves. If those opportunities come, then we would be more than happy to sit down and talk, and we would sit down and make it. We are business. We need everything that a business normally needs. We need money. We need borrowing things in for its marketing, for its advice on advancement, even with the site planning and all that.
Yeah.
It took someone else to come to the board and open a door for us to sit down with Black Hawk Engineering, who has now become a great part of what we're doing and helping us, design this. So we just like in other business, we need help, but we're not sitting here waiting on it. Every day we're on the grind. Every day we're doing whatever we can do. When Eugene leave here, he's going up there in his suit and tie to go to do some work at the site. We're welcoming everything. We're going to make this happen with or without anyone else coming to the table. What we need from the community is to appreciate what we're doing, come out and just take part in it. I tell people all the time, even here with Midtown and Third, they be like, well, how can I help? Just come. If it ain't but 5 minutes and you come to get a soda, come get that soda. There's one thing about business and community, people want to be where people are.
Yes.
If you pass by the flea market 24/7 and ain't nobody there, ain't nobody coming.
Right.
Grab your wife, grab your friend, grab your buddy, grab your kids, and come to the flea market. That's what we're asking.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Mhm.
Now, whatever else comes to the table, we'll deal with that. But what do we need right now is just community support and realizing that this is from a personal level. This is from entrepreneurs who have had an opportunity to start from the bottom and grow a little bit. We want to grow a little bit more, but we have to have the community. The politicians, this and that. I tell people all the time, I thank God that I don't have to have those barriers over me. I don't have to sit here and worry about, well, what Tom gonna say or what Joe gonna say,
Right.
how they gonna hold me in a box.
Right.
I probably could be bigger than this if I could have connected with some of the different people that probably have offered. But guess what? When I turn that key every single day, I'm in total control.
That's right.
I'm in total control. Me and my fiance, we're in total control. This is ours.
Mhm.
And so with that being said, one thing you said about help, as long as we maintain reasonable control, sometimes all help ain't good help.
That's right. I would like to add with regards to what do we need and what the vendors would need.
Mhm.
If your audience is out there and you're seeing this interview with Mrs. Henry and you're hearing, what Eric and I have to say with regards to this campaign of maintaining or opening another flea market. If you are watching this and there's something that you have that can help us, that's what we need.
That's what we
Come
need.
to us, we're open.
Mm.
And whatever that is, whether it's marketing, whether it's exposure, whatever that may be, if we can't utilize it, then we may have a vendor
Mhm.
who can utilize that. You understand?
Mhm.
So that's what we need.
Mhm.
We need, again, like Eric said, community support. You understand? Support this.
Mhm.
This is something that we got. If anybody else out there wanted this, we wouldn't be on this interview.
Mm.
If your commissioners wanted this, we wouldn't be here today talking it.
Mhm.
If your government officials wanted this, we wouldn't be here doing this interview.
Mhm.
So if we are here and it's something that you know is good for the community, then we need your support and your encouragement behind this.
Sometimes we don't know what to ask for,
That's right.
but you know what you can offer.
Mm.
One of the biggest things when I started growing in violas and people, of status would come and be like, and I didn't know what to ask for. I'm just a local boy from the neighborhood
Mhm.
that knew how to cook and started working in restaurants. Next thing I know, I'm managing restaurants. Next thing I know, I'm a general manager in restaurants. Never went to school for it, just was good at what I did.
Mhm.
And people would come, but I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know.
Mm.
So when I started getting in a position where people came and said, "Hey man, you ever thought about doing this? This is how we do this. This is what I can do for you."
Right.
Sometimes you just have to get up off your butt and come offer your services.
Mhm.
Bring it to the table. Well, he didn't ask me. Well, did he know to ask you?
Right. Right.
There's many people that come here every day. I don't even know what they do.
Right.
I shake their hand. I smile in their face. I give them great service. We might even consider ourselves friends or associates.
Mm.
I don't even know what you do because we don't always get in that space.
That's right.
But sometimes they open up the door and say, "Hey man, I work at Cumulus. Now I know almost every DJ and everybody that works at Cumulus."
Mm.
But I did that one time.
Mhm.
But through the process of them coming and offering their services, that is one of my good connections there.
Yes.
A lot of the guys around here that I do, most of them, they came and offered their service. They came to me. They came to aid. They came to support and say, "Hey man, you got a good thing going here. Here's my card. This is what I do." So if you want to help, don't sit back and say they didn't ask.
Mm.
Come help.
Yes.
That's right.
This is a community event.
Mhm.
This is a community business that benefits the entire community, that has multiple businesses located in one spot.
Mhm.
Come help, come support, come offer your services.
And I want to make sure that it's understood that it's a business. It is a business, right? I think people go into things that serve the community without having that mindset that it must be profitable for you to be able to support and to do what it is that you have to do. But you're also a business that serves a community purpose
Mhm.
because you're building a community of businesses, right?
Right.
And so I think I want to make sure that as we're having this conversation and as we're mentally thinking about what it is that you're doing as a grassroots group of investors working collaboratively to create space for others to be able to
Right.
establish and grow their businesses in the technology age, there's so many multiple streams of potential here, right? There's so much on the realm of driving traffic to the site that can be monetized. There's so many aspects of monetization, right? I don't want to get into that because that's a whole other conversation. But talk about what it takes for somebody to be able to get a space at the Tallahassee Flea Market Exchange. What they need to, what sizes, what's available right now for them in the parking lot, in the incubation stage.
Eric looking at me now.
That's his specialty there.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say this. This is what makes Eric and I so good of a business partner, friends, and a brotherhood. Because we share the same passion, love for our people, and to see people win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's one thing for us to win, but it's another thing to put somebody else in the position to win.
Mm.
You know, and that's what makes him and I, we just, because we share that passion. I get passionate sometimes. I like to see people win. You know, what would it take for an individual? Like I said, I get passionate sometimes about that. What would it take for individuals to rent a space at the flea market? It would just take $25, you know, for a space. We know everybody was like, oh yeah, it's just that cheap.